everyone! Welcome back to week 5 in our virtual Summer in the Garden. This week is where the land meets the sea. I'm Miss Nicole, and this is Miss Kelsey.
Hey guys! So this week we're going to be talking about different bodies of water that we have down here in the Keys. So we have a little bit of fresh water down here. We have some brackish water, which is a mixture of fresh and salt water. And of course we have lots of salt water. There's a whole ocean that surrounds us down here. So we're going to talk about different plants and animals that rely on both the water and the land to survive.
Follow along with this video to complete the introduction worksheet. And don't forget to post your favorite thing from this week using the hashtag #KWVirtualGarden for a chance to win free passes to the garden, a garden guidebook, a coloring book, and a bookmark made with fresh pressed flowers from the garden. Looking forward to this week! The least common body of water you'll find in the Florida Keys is freshwater. There are 3 permanent bodies of freshwater in the Florida Keys. 2 are actually at the Botanical Garden, and 1 is in Big Pine Key at the Blue Hole. There's lots of temporary bodies of freshwater though, and they can be found throughout the Florida Keys, and they are due to solution holes, which form in the limestone rock, which is actually the skeleton of coral. And what happens is the high solubility of the limestone rock gets dissolved and creates a hole where rainwater fills into those holes. So during our wet season, when we have lots of rain, those holes are full, creating temporary bodies of water. But during the dry season, they dry up and we don't have them anymore. Some different types of plants you can find near fresh water is sawgrass, leather fern, and buttonwood trees. Some different animals you can find around freshwater are different types of birds, some freshwater turtles, some alligators, and even crocodiles. And crocodiles can also be found in saltwater because they have salt glands that help them excrete excess salt. Look there, it's a croc!
In between our fresh and our saltwater environments, we can find brackish water. So brackish just means that the water is salty, but not quite as salty as our ocean environments. We have some species that specialize in brackish water environments. One of the ones that we find down here is called the diamondback terrapin turtle. These guys are vulnerable to extinction because of habitat loss, but they're similar to our red-eared slider turtles that we find in the freshwater of the lakes in the botanical gardens. However, they have salt glands near their eyes, so they're able to excrete salt through there and survive in a brackish water environment. They're interesting because on their shells, you can actually age them using the the rings on their scutes. So you can tell how old these guys are. So here we have a saltwater environment. This is the most common body of water that we have down here in the Florida Keys. We're a small island in a big ocean, right? So we're surrounded by this saltwater. Today we're going to talk a little bit about different plants and animals that we see in these environments. So all around me, I have mangroves. Mangrove is just a word for a woody tree or shrub that is able to tolerate salt. And they all do this in different ways. So there's over 50 species worldwide, but we have 3 main ones that we're going to talk about here in the Florida Keys. We have the red mangrove, which are all these guys. We have black mangroves, which you can see their snorkel roots kind of below me here. And then we also have white mangroves. Now these red mangroves are the most salt tolerant out of the 3. They tolerate salt through pumping water through their roots via reverse osmosis. So that's a fancy word, right? Basically, all they do, they evaporate or transpire, water comes out through their leaves, creates a pressure gradient, and then water is pumped in through those roots. Now their roots are pretty special. They have almost like a filter on them. It's all of these kind of big bendy roots that we see all over us. They have a filter that excludes most of the salt. So they don't even let a lot of that salt come into the tree at all. The black mangroves are a little bit different. They do take in some salt, but then they push it out of the back of their leaves, and that's how they excrete some of their salt. The white mangroves also push salt out, but they just do it through two little knobs at the base of their leaf. So they are even less salt tolerant than the black mangroves. Now these mangroves provide an extremely important nursery environment down here in the Keys. So we have what's called prop roots or walking roots with these red mangroves, and those do a really good job of stabilizing these trees in the event of a big hurricane, so like Irma that we had down here in 2017. Tropical fish will come in within these mangrove roots. They'll lay their eggs, and then the juveniles and the baby fish, they'll spend their younger years within the roots, within the seagrass around this area, before making their way out to the reef as they get a little bit older. We also have crabs that hang out down here, mangrove crabs. We have lots of birds who like to nest within the trees, right? So we have an extremely unique environment where there's no freshwater. There's not really any dry land within the roots here. So there's not many predators for these birds. So we have frigate birds, pelicans, cormorants, herons, egrets, tons and tons of different birds that like to nest back here. So thanks for tuning in for our saltwater environment.